bring it to life. Combine my beauties, combine! This is the P2S, my latest creation. Okay, Bambu Lab may have had a hand in making it, but I've been testing it for the last couple of months, so I thought I'd share my thoughts and observations on it as I look to break it with a marathon print run for my Halloween display. And because I can never just test something, I had to turn it into a full-blown Halloween build. Over the last few weeks, this thing has been churning out everything from Frankenstein's head to zombie hands clawing up through the garden. All straight from MakerWorld, free models that I've, of course, enhanced with an unholy amount of paint. I'll come back to the painting side later, but first, let's talk about what makes this printer such a beast in the first place. The P range of printers from Bambu Lab have always been my personal favourite. They just hit that sweet spot between the features and the price point for me. The P1S had the enclosure, neat form factor and core XY design of the X1C, whilst maintaining that budget pricing more akin to the A1. Best of both worlds, which is why I bought one as my first Bambu Lab printer, and indeed my second, and my third. But whilst the P1S remains a stellar printer in my eyes, and I still use them every single week, things have definitely progressed and evolved. Some of the new features of the H2 range are pretty neat, so it was obviously time to start refreshing the range. So let's look at the P2S and see how it's evolved from its predecessor. Looking at the two, you can see the biggest difference. They've painted it a different colour. Yes, that's it basically. Okay, obviously not. In fact, I think the colour change is a bit of a nod to the X1C and the H2D. It's been designed as a bit of a Frankenstein's monster of the best of every device. You can see the dated screen of the P1S has been replaced by the H2Ds, immediately taking it beyond even the X1C, let alone the P1S. The camera has moved from bitty, low frame rate, good enough, to sharp and smooth frames, 1080p. And shout out to the lighting improvements also. It's got a full enclosure like the X1C, but with the active airflow system from the H2D. They've also sneaked in the DynaSense extruder from the H2D. The eddy current sensor flow calibration pinches from the H2 and the A range, a whole lot better than the X1C's version. Inside, nozzle swaps have become a snap. This started with the A1, but evolved further with the H2D. This uses the same nozzles and is a class-leading solution, completely effortless. But all these nerdy numbers aren't the main point. Over the last few years, the increase in performance and reliability of printers like this means that I can trust it with long, detailed prints like these Halloween pieces, which means that I spend less and less of my own time doing 3D printing and more time painting. The improvements in print quality mean that I can spend more time adding creative touches. The smoother the print, the less sanding and filler I need before paint. And in every one of these prints, the total sanding and pre-paint preparation time was 0. So let's get high-speed painting so everything's ready. A few tips as I go for turning raw prints into something that looks disturbingly alive, or at least freshly dead. First up, start with natural skin tones. Even if you're making a monster, begin human, then just mist colour over it. Frankenstein's head started flesh-coloured before I applied that subtle green glaze, so the cheek highlights still glow beneath the surface. For the hands coming out of the ground, I used skin tones again, but brushed blue along the veins and added a translucent skin layer on top. It's that vein under the skin look that makes them feel unsettlingly real. As for the fingernails, I just put a thin red edge and then grubby brown to make them look like they've crawled out of something unholy. The zombie head was my favourite. Grey skin wash, black tongue, wrinkles everywhere. Basically, I thought about what I look like the day after one too many gins and accentuated the shadows under the eyes and all the places that I don't want them. Keep the paints thin and build layers slowly. Translucent layers let the light play through just like real skin. So add dark washes to the creases and recesses, dry brush the edges to blend it all together, and ruin it a little bit on purpose. Don't forget, this will be seen in the dark, so you really want the contrast to pop. So having a clean foundation print means that you don't really need to know all the buzzwords of PMSM, servo extruders and eddy current sensors. The most important thing is the output. And I now have shelves of post-processing tricks that I no longer require. Fewer artifacts to hide and less work for me to improve, which means I'm focusing more and more on having fun, not fixing print lines. In short, this offers a big upgrade to reliability, and if something goes wrong, like clogs or grinding of filament, it'll know instantly. This is probably the most subtle but biggest area of improvement. All these hardware boosts come together to give that general sense of reliability that the X1C had over the P1S. But all these features, buzzwords, technologies and optimizations come together into something pretty basic. This thing prints some amazing models for a killer price. The cameras are now at a precision and detail level to allow some really useful features. Spaghetti detection, for example. Although I have to say that I've probably had 3 or 4 spaghetti bad monsters in thousands of prints that I've done on the P1S. I just got into the habit of checking the first few layers are fine, and then it was pretty rock solid after that. However, one far more useful feature is the idiot detection AI. I'm pretty sure that's not what Bambu Lab call it, but I've had far too many occasions where I've forgotten to take off a print, left something on the bed, or even had some more frightening moments where the P1S would have merrily ground away trying to heroically print regardless. This has already proved itself on a couple of occasions. It was always my fault, but having this extra protection is definitely a benefit. So if you're an idiot like me, then the P2S is for you. I need to work on my positioning, I think. I should dive in a bit on the adaptive airflow system. This is another subtle improvement, but it's pretty neat in lots of ways. Firstly, it draws in cool air from outside the chamber, making its low temperature filament performance much better. So forget all that leaving the door open that you had to do with the P1S and the X1C range. But it also then uses a flap controlled system to seal the heat within the chamber when required. So it's filtering the air through a carbon filter to maintain air quality in the room while stopping those warping issues that you used to get with the P1S on larger prints, especially near the back left side. Finally, it comes with the AMS2 Pro as the standard option, which is an absolute no-brainer upgrade on the original. I mean, they look the same, but the new one is significantly better. All in all, this is a very impressive refresh, and it's brought back that original tension that the P1S brought for the price point. This is exactly the sort of self-competition that I liked about the Bambu range. So this definitely throws another curveball. So right this moment, this should be the go-to model, unless you're needing the extra size of the H range. There are very, very few competitors that can offer something so fire and forget at this price point, meaning that you can spend less time worrying about your prints and more time worrying about your impending doom. Sorry, still a bit early. Now let's prepare the scene with a monstrous montage on the hundreds of hours of prints that I've put this through. If you want to support this channel, then details in the description and links as always if you want to investigate this new beast in a bit more detail. Oh, and I downloaded all of these spooky models for free from the fabulous creators on MakerWorld. Happy Halloween!